Being a superhero is a thankless task, putting your life on the line time after time for your city. What happens, though, when the villains retire and you have to find a new line of work? A Clean Sweep by Laurel K. Hamilton. Read by Karl. Captain Housework materialized on the doorstep of number 11 Pear Tree Lane. His emergency beeper had awakened him, code red. Was it his nemesis, Dr. Grime? Or the infamous Dust Bunny Gang? Or perhaps Pawn Scum, the destroyer of bathrooms? He had to levitate to reach the doorbell. As crime fighters go, Captain Housework was on the short side. His white coveralls, silver cape and mask, formed of a bill cap with eye holes, were gleamingly clean. He stood on the top step, shining as if carved from ivory and silver. It looked perfect, crisp, and clean, and he liked it that way. The door opened, and a woman dressed in a bathrobe stared down at him. "Oh, it's you. Please come in." She held the door for him, waving him in eagerly. He stared up at her, a grim smile on his face. "And what dastardly villain is plaguing your home, dear lady?" She blinked at him. "Dastardly villain?" She gave a small laugh. "Oh, no, it's nothing like that. My husband made the call. Did he say we had a supervillain in the house?" Captain Housework drew himself up to his full 3 feet and said, "It was a code red, madam. That means the supervillain has been spotted." The woman laughed again. "Oh dear, no. I've got a party of 12 people coming in at 6 and my maid cancelled." "You called the superhero hotline because your maid cancelled?" His voice had a harsh edge to it that the woman didn't seem to notice. "Well, my friend Betty had you over when her kids threw that wild party. You did miracles with her house." "I remember the incident. I made it clear it was an exception to the rules that I aided her." "But you just got to help me, Captain Housework." The woman went to her knees, gripping his arms. "Please, it's too late to turn to anyone else." Tears glittered in her eyes. Captain Housework crossed his arms across his thin chest, his mouth set in a firm line. "Madam, I am a superhero, not a maid. Do not think you realize how terrible my foes can be. Have you ever had a wave of black mildew engulf your husband and eat him to the bone before your very eyes?" She blinked at him. "Well, no, but surely that doesn't happen all that often. In the meantime, couldn't you help me? Just this once?" It was true his arch enemies had been lying low for a while. Work had been slow. He stared at her tear-stained face and nodded. "All right, but only this once." She hugged him, crumpling the bill of his mask. He pushed away from her, straightening his costume. "That will not be necessary. I will get to work at once, if that's all right with you." "Well, that's wonderful. I'll just go get dressed." She raced up the stairs, trailing some floral perfume behind her. Captain Housework sniffed. He preferred the cleaner scents of household air fresheners. Pine was his favorite. He sighed and walked in the living room. For a moment his heart beat faster. Surely such destruction could only be the work of the Dust Bunny Gang. Sofa cushions were scattered across the floor. A vase had fallen on its side, spilling water. Dying flowers made a sodden mess on the great carpet. The fireplace was choked with ash and a partially burned carcass of a doll. Toys covered nearly every inch of the floor. Children? The only natural disaster that could rival Captain Grime. Perhaps children weren't as deadly, but they were just as messy. This was 5th time in a month being called in and found no arch-villain but only bad housework. His name had been traded around like that of a good maid. He, Captain Housework, had been reduced to drudgery. He, who had fought the great dust invasion of '53, would have no problem with this mundane mess. His superhuman speed would make short work of it all. But that wasn't the point. People did not call the Purple Avenger to change a tire. They called him to save their lives. Once they had called Captain Housework for the same thing. Dr. Grime had nearly engulfed St. Louis in a giant rain of grease. All cars, trains, and planes had come to a slippery halt. Pedestrians caught in the greasy rain had melted into puddles of sizzling goo. They had called for Captain Housework, and they'd be glad to have him. But that had been 10 years ago. Dr. Grime had retired. The Dust Bunny Gang had split up over contractual differences. There just weren't that many supervillains who specialized in true dirty work. It wasn't really the mundane cleaning that bothered him. It was repeat business. People were calling him back again and again to clean up after them. You get a house spotless, perfect, and they mess it up again. It was never-ending drudgery. Even with superpowers over dust and dirt, he was tired of it. They were taking advantage of him. Without any supervillains to fight, a superhero had to fill some need. It was in his contract he had to be useful to mankind, just as supervillain had to harm humankind. If all the villains needing special powers to thwart him had retired, he had to answer the call of need. Captain Housework sighed and waved a white-gloved hand. The sofa cushions danced back into place, fluffing themselves before smuggling down. "I'm a glorified maid," he said softly in the empty room. The kitchen was the worst. Dishes were stacked nearly to the top of the windows, thick with grease and moldy food. He conjured a super scouring wind and cleaned them with the force of a hurricane without cracking a dish. When every room was spotless, he appeared before the woman who had summoned him. "The house is clean, madam." "Oh, gee, thanks." She held out money. Captain Housework stared at the offending hand. "I'm a superhero, not a servant. I don't need your money." His voice was very tight, each word bitten off. "No offense. I'm just grateful." "Be grateful and don't call me again." "But I want you to come back to the party and clean up," she said. "You what?" "The maid can't come tonight at all. Thought to clean up after the party. Superhero Hotline said you would." "They said I would?" She nodded. "The operator hotline said you'd be happy to be of service. Said something about superheroes needing to be of service to mankind." Captain Housework stared at the woman for a few heartbeats. He saw it all then, his future stretching out before him. Eternity of cleaning back after parties, repairing the damage of crayon-wielding tots and unbroken dogs. He saw it all in the blink of his sparkling eyes. It was intolerable. A hell on earth. But the woman was right. A superhero had to serve mankind. If all he was good for was maid service, then so be it. The woman had been putting on red nail polish. She reached back to tighten the lid, but was unwilling to grip it with her wet nails. The bottle went spinning. Bright red fluid poured onto the white carpet, trickling down the newly polished vanity. "Oops," the woman said. "You get that, won't you? I've got to finish getting ready. The guests will be here any minute." She stood, waving her nails to dry them. He lifted staring at the spreading red stain on the carpet he had just shampooed. His tiny hands balled into fists. He stood trembling with rage, unable to utter a word. An eternity of this. It was intolerable. But what else could he do? Talk Dr. Grime out of retirement? No, the villain had made millions off his memoirs. Memoirs of the Down and Dirty had been a bestseller. Captain Housework stared at the slowly hardening stain, and a great calmness washed over him. He had an idea. The police found 14 skeletons at number 11 Pear Tree Lane. The bones were neatly arranged, sparkling with polish, lacquered to a perfect finish. The house had never been so clean. The end.